Greetings everyone and welcome. I'm your host Captain Rye, and in today's video I'm playing in one of my favorite tier 10 destroyers here in World of Warships. That's right, I'm playing in the Z52, ship I haven't taken out in a while, but still one of my favorites, especially now that they've nerfed the Yu-Yang a bit. As the battle gets underway, it's the Atlantic and its domination match mode, and obviously it is a tier 10 maximum battle. The enemy team and my team both have 4 destroyers, so neither team starts off with an inherent destroyer advantage, but as we will see in this game, that is going to change, unfortunately, rather quickly. Now, because I've spawned closest to the sea cap point, the sea cap point is where I'm headed, and I'm not alone here. I do have a friendly destroyer coming up with me, and there is a friendly radar cruiser that's pushing up back behind the island, so hopefully, with any luck, we'll be able to spot whomever is currently inside the sea cap point in very short order. Now, the friendly destroyer that was right behind me, unfortunately, he's already dumped his torpedoes, and that's a little bit of an annoyance because he's going to need them in very short order. Now, slam on my brakes. I intended to actually pop my smoke screen here, but ended up popping my hydroacoustic. Well, that's all fine anyway, as there are not 1 but 2 enemy destroyers up here, a Gearing and a Grozavoy. Now, the Grozavoy is a much more dangerous threat to me than the Gearing, just because the Grozavoy has a heal. The Gearing does not, but both of these destroyers have a lot of good guns and are going to cause me some problems. So I'm going to go ahead and continue putting rounds down range here. Hopefully the friendly Cleveland has popped his radar, and that's why we can see the other ships here. I've still got my hydro up, and the Gearing is inside just barely my hydroacoustic range. So hopefully with any luck I'm going to be able to kill this Gearing. Enemy team managed to secure first blood by killing our Gearing. That's unfortunate there. I am being detected via radar or something of the like, so I need to start getting on out of here before I become the next main focus of all 3 of the ships that are shooting at me, and I am being shot at by a lot of different ships here. As we can see, there's the enemy Salem. He's the one who's got the radar on me, and this radar is lasting a disturbingly long time for my taste. I am on fire. Unfortunately, I can't put it out. I've already used my damage control, so this fire is going to burn for another 20 seconds, all while, of course, being shot at. Unfortunately for me, there's just not enough backup and support currently at this spot for me to warrant sticking around. So I'm not even going to try to stick around. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and boogie on out of here and head somewhere else. Now, I do have a lot of team support in this area of the map, as we can see on the mini-map, but they're all clustered back behind the island, and they're not actually doing anything of value. If they all pushed up here, they could easily overwhelm everybody that's currently up here, because there's only 1 battleship, there's only 1 tier 10 cruiser, and of course there is only the 1 destroyer. The other 2 destroyers on the enemy team are on the other side of the map. Then again, the same could be said for the enemy team, as we can see the last known positions of several of their ships. If they decided to push in, as currently stands on the map, they could very, very quickly overrun our defenses here at sea and push us out of here and take it. Now, we do currently have a ship's lead and an advantage, and the enemy team doesn't yet have a cap. So this is, of course, all good for my team. Now, my smoke screen is going to be up here in about 7 seconds, and this is going to be important because, as we can see, I pushed into the sea cap point and I'm not capping it. So that tells me the enemy is right here somewhere in the sea cap point. Luckily, nobody is inside of detection at the moment, but that could change at any moment. I simply do not know where people are located. Pop my smoke screen. I'm going to sit here in the sea cap point as I started capping briefly. I'm going to try and get shots onto this Montana, maybe set some fires here. You'll notice that I don't do what a lot of other German destroyer players do, and I actually fire the high explosive. This is just simply because I want to set the fires. And while the German AP on the destroyers is particularly good, you have to understand though, I'm an American destroyer player, and I tend to like to fire high explosive. Plus, High explosive against other destroyers, also very, very useful. Did manage to connect 3 torpedoes on that Montana, but here's the fallback of the Z52. Those torpedoes are weak sauce. They simply do not do enough damage. And so I completely managed to hit him with 3, didn't cause a lot of damage. Enemy Grozavoy has managed to launch torpedoes, and I decided to leave my smokescreen in just the nick of time. Could have avoided that if I had put my hydroacoustic up. Hell, in fact, I would have seen him, and I would have seen everybody else coming. Unfortunately, as I boogie on out of here, I do open up with my guns, and so that's going to leave me detected against all of these ships there until I get back behind this smokescreen of my own and stop firing to drop off detectability. Z52 does not have the best detection range to be a frontline destroyer. Am on fire for another 10 seconds. That fire is going to continue to burn again because my damage control just not quite available. Engine's currently knocked out as well, but as I motor on away, I'm not going to worry about that, simply because I'm not currently in the danger zone. I do have my speed boost active anyway, so that doesn't really matter in this circumstance. Looking at the situation, the enemy team has lost 2 destroyers. My team has lost 2 destroyers. I don't have a lot of health left, and given that the enemy Salem is still back over there with all of his health, and there's the Grozavoy as well as 2 battleships, I'm not sticking around anymore. Instead, I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and relocate. And by relocate, I mean I'm just going to head down to the B cap point and see what I can do about capping it. Since, for the most part, it looks relatively uncontested. Neither my team nor the enemy team has got a very strong presence there. Yes, there are ships that were last detected there, and of course we know the enemy capped it, and probably with a destroyer, but that doesn't really matter. As long as I'm able to slam on my brakes and pop a smokescreen, if I'm detected before they can get shots at me, I'll be fine. Speaking of the team getting shots off, my team has finally managed to push around the island and is now pushing up. If they can get up there and kill the Montana, who was on low health last we saw, they'll take out a battleship. Now, I am detected, I am being targeted, so I slam on my brakes here, and I fire off shots with my torpedoes at 2 different ships. Now, the first ship I fired torpedoes at was actually this cruiser up here. And I fired those shots at him, and oh man, I take a big hit there. Almost dead, no health left at all. Pop my hydroacoustic, that's going to let me keep eyes on the Shimakaze, but that doesn't really matter. Now you'll notice the weak sauce of these torpedoes here. I managed to connect one on the Shimakaze, center of mass, and it wasn't enough to kill him. The damage on these torpedoes is really, really bad. The Henry is firing blind into my smokescreen, trying to kill me. Managed to take the Shimakaze out. Now, you notice that I have my hydro up, so if he'd fired off torpedoes, I would have seen them. And he clearly didn't fire off torpedoes. But that Henri does have torpedoes, and they're fairly long range, so I do need to watch out for those. Luckily for me, the Henri course originally was perfectly set up so that when I fired my torpedoes off, where the Shimakaze turned, he went right into him. I'm not sure I could have hung out in a firefight with the German smokescreens, which are notoriously short-lived, as we can see there. It's already dissipating. With a Shimakaze with full strength, if I hadn't managed to connect that torpedo. So that was kind of a lucky torpedo hit there. There's the Henri's torpedoes, and I'm not quite sure where he's firing them off at. I don't know if he thought maybe I was going the other direction, or what the situation was. The enemy team is in the process of capping the A cap point. I'm now in the process of capping B. My team is currently up on points. We've managed to kill all of the enemy destroyers. This is going to be an important factor because remember, as I always say, the team that eventually gets the destroyer advantage will go on to victory. My team still has 2 destroyers, one of which is currently in the back behind the A cap point, and he's in prime position to put torpedoes and shots from behind the enemy, where they're not necessarily going to be paying attention or looking for it. Now, this Henri is currently blocked by an island. but I'm not sure what he's planning on doing here. We do have a Minotaur back down there, and it doesn't look like he wants to engage that Minotaur, which is interesting because with his armor piercing, he's got 10-inch guns. With his armor piercing, he can citadel the Minotaur from literally any angle. But it looks like instead he doesn't want to engage the Minotaur, and he's going to start backing up. So the first set of torpedoes there, launched off the front in case he decided to continue to push through, aren't going to hit him. The second set, though, might here. And if we can see that he's going to continue backing up, these torpedoes are in prime position. The enemy team now holds 2 of the caps, and you can see here, even though they're currently down on ships, and they've lost another ship here, even though they're currently down on ships, they have the potential to gain those points back because they have 2 of the caps. And you can see how quickly they're gaining the points here. So they're currently only about 200 points behind my team, and with 8 minutes left, if the current status stays and nobody dies, they will manage to catch us on points. But of course, somebody dies. So, and from the looks of it, come on, there's 1, 2 hits, and again, oh, the weak sauce on these torpedoes. RNG's just leaving him with about 3,000 health. Have the island behind me. I'm going to fire off shots here. Maybe I'll get lucky and light him on fire, but he really, really does need to die. The high explosive, of course, shattering on his armored superstructure. Really, really disappointing that I didn't get the kill on that. But the Harugumo, he's going to go open up, and the Harugumo is going to kill that guy outright. There's not a lot of health left. And as, of course, we know, the Harugumo, the greatest lie ever told in the game, that it's a destroyer, because we all know it's not a destroyer. Enemy Edinburgh up here is the last cruiser alive on his team. Now, the enemy team still has 2 battleships at this point, but they're split. They're nowhere within range of supporting fire of each other. This Edinburgh also not currently in range of supporting fire of either of his battleships. So my team finally starts capping the sea cap point, and they can do that because the enemy battleship that's up there is completely surrounded. He's actually being swarmed by 2 other ships, including one of our battleships. And the other battleship, well, he's all the way down in A, and while he is a top-tier battleship, he's not in any position to shoot at anybody other than the Minotaur, who is currently backed up by B. And, well, it's a Minotaur. He's got a very low detection range, so he can just hide however he wants. Plus, as we can see, the last known location of that battleship back behind an island, so he probably didn't have line of sight to anybody anyway. Pop a smoke screen so I can get shots off at the Edinburgh. This is mostly just so I can gain some additional damage. Unfortunately, as it turns out, I was the guy spotting the Edinburgh. So, by popping my smoke screen and getting shots off there, our friendly Harugumo can't get shots off. And now it looks like the Edinburgh has got close enough. His hydroacoustic, possibly radar, one or the other. It's hard to tell with British cruiser captains. Nope, he's got a smoke screen, so he doesn't have radar, but his hydroacoustic definitely close enough to spot the Harugumo. Now, the Harugumo, though, is close enough that even though the guy's popped a smoke screen, that's not enough to save him, because he's so close that every time he fires his guns, the detection range outside of that smoke screen is well within range for the Harugumo. Now, the Harugumo is opening up the distance there, and he's just continuing to put high explosive fire. He's definitely got the high explosive inertia fuse there based on the damages. And now, we're down to 1. We have 2 caps. The enemy team's going to hold on to the A cap point here. We're way up on points. It doesn't matter. There's over 5 minutes left here in the game. But more importantly, we're down to 1, and that's just the Montana. He's got a little over half health there. I've got 2 sets of torpedoes out, and it doesn't look like he's going to turn at all. So how many can I hit him with? There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, and again, not enough damage from these weak sauce torpedoes to kill him outright. If I was in a Fletcher, that would have finished him off. Arguably if it was in any other ship. So, there's a fire set on top of it. Finish him off there with the flooding from the torpedoes. He didn't put it out. So, finally, a second kill for me. Just shy of 152,000 damage done in that game. 10 torpedo hits, 2 kills, 4 fire sets, 7 floodings, 1 base capture there, 136 rounds fired overall. Overall, a pretty good game. But even though I only got 1 cap, and only 2 kills, I did manage top of the team for XP earned at 2,500 base XP. And a pretty good team overall, as only one person on our team, actually a Harborovsk, oddly enough, was the only person not to get 1,000 base XP. D'Henri on the enemy team, the only person on his team to get 1,000 plus base XP. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can do so by sending it to my email. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by following me on Facebook. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, albeit very intermittently, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.